right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Being Different. Today, it is just me, and I had a couple things I wanted to talk about. First thing was to everybody that's ever emailed me or sent me messages on social media from hearing on this podcast. I really, really appreciate it because you guys bring up really good points of view or share struggles that maybe we have in common and stuff like that. And it's just been really encouraging to me. So one that I want to tell you about that I thought was really cool was this girl named Rachel emailed me on my website. And she told me that she is working from home with little kids, about to have another little kid, and is just dealing with the same things that I was dealing with when I started this podcast. And I, it took me back to that place of how I felt so overwhelmed and burnt out, and just like I was barely keeping my head above water, and feeling like I was being the worst mom in the world and the worst wife in the world and not even a friend to anyone at that point in my life. And so um when she sent that email, I was like, oh my gosh, you kind of, when there's space and time in between things, you forget how bad stuff was, or you black it out. You don't want to remember how bad it was. But her email just made me go right back to that place when I was working with Mac and when Charlie was born and how difficult it was. So anyways, she and I were chatting about just that kind of stuff. And I told her that my whole aim with this podcast is I want to learn new things. Obviously, I talk about that all the time. But I also want to send a message to younger girls that you don't have to do it the way I did. And the way I did is how society and culture tells you that you should be doing it. Um, but there's another way. You don't have to do it that way. And also, if you are going to do it that way, just don't lie to yourself about what the struggles are going to be and what the pitfalls are going to be. So then maybe you can plan accordingly to not hit rock bottom as hard as I did. So I asked Rachel if she had any ideas or thoughts on how to talk to younger girls about kind of the traps that we had fallen into in motherhood in general. And she said that I don't know if she heard or she listened to somebody that said when they have a daughter who is older, they will send their daughter to spend time with another mom to kind of see how they run their household and how everything operates. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant because, a lot of times we don't want to listen to our own parents. I mean, still to this day, I'm 35, and when my parents say things, sometimes I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But when someone else says it, you do listen. And so I had never considered that or thought about that. And I was like, oh, that is so smart. If I can send Charlie to, another mom that I respect, that I think is doing it well, and Charlie can see how they're running their house, how do they do their laundry? How do they do their dishes? How do they get their kids ready for school in the morning? That kind of stuff. I was like, that is so cool and such a good idea. It's almost like a mini internship or something like that. So, um, it also just got me thinking, I have had a ton of college girls babysit for me because I live right next to the University of Tennessee. We're right down the road. And I recognize that with these girls, they are just being fed the same bullshit that I was fed when I was in school, that you get your career and you build up your career. And then if you want to later, once you have enough money, then you have kids. And there's no counter message that they're being told. And so with those girls, when they're in my house, I hope that they are seeing me live my life in a way that shows that there is another way that you can do things, and that the career doesn't have to be the end all be all. Your career is not going to take care of you when you're sick and dying in a nursing home when you're 90 years old. So invest in your family and don't wait until you're too old to do that so that you can't even have kids. So I have been convicted a lot about, okay, so I can't, go teach college courses or you know, change the world in the way that society thinks. It has to be a shift that I think is a grassroots effort. And so the first thing you do is, deal with your own house. So I'm like, okay, what are things that I can do with Charlie and my sons for that matter too? But also with these girls that I'm lucky enough to have in my house, they are really sweet girls. And I just think back to when I was in college, like how impressionable I was. Like, I actually need to be intentional when I talk to them about these things. And they do get to see, if somebody's working in your house, they get to see like the ugly. Like, for instance, last night, Luke had food poisoning. Charlie and Cooper both ended up in bed with us, and our bed is not big enough for 4 people, especially with 2 of them, like, kicking the crap out of you all night long. And, Lucy, our babysitter, came this morning. She's incredible. And I was just walking around like a zombie in a bathrobe. I looked like my eyes are so puffy. I look terrible. And, yelling at the kids to get ready for school because everyone's overslept because we're all so tired. We've been up all night and Charlie can't find her bunny. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this stupid bunny, like just losing it, trying to get into the car and get to school. And we were still late. Like, shocker, we're always late. But she has seen the true ugly in our house, but I hope that she has also seen, like, how much we enjoy the kids and that being home with them is great, and that, like, I hope that everybody that wants to and has the opportunity to have kids does it because it changes your life for the better. So, also, I hope that she sees, she wasn't with me when I was working all the time. The babysitters that were with me then got to see like the actual true ugly. Um, and one of my closest ones, she was incredible. We still talk a lot. She comes back and visits us and we talk about like her life and she's probably going to be getting married soon and like how she's going to do things. And so I hope that they see an alternative to what society and universities are pitching to them as far as what your life should be and what will bring you quote unquote happiness because it didn't for me. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, we for New Year's went to Chili's for dinner. We took the kids, and that's Chili's is like where we go when I am not in the mood to cook and the kids are just like acting up. It's loud in Chili's. You can make a mess in Chili's. It's cheap. It's just like Chili's is good for our family. We fit in Chili's. And one day, Charlie said to me, I just asked her like what she wanted to be when she grows up. I ask them that a lot because it changes so frequently that it makes me feel better about all of my changes that I have in life that happen so frequently. But Charlie said to me, "Mommy, I want to be a cooker at Chili's when I grow up." And I like burst into like hee-hawing laughter because I thought that was hilarious. Like, she wants to cook at Chili's. She loves Chili's so much. But then she said, "But I won't have time because I'm going to be a mommy and I'm going to be taking care of my kids. So I probably won't have time to be a cooker at Chili's." And I was like, oh, like it kind of made me tear up a little bit because I was like, okay, she wants to be a mom and she's saying that at 4 years old. And it just made me really happy, that that's what she sees as important to her as a 4-year-old kid. And of course, she'll change her mind like 50 more times, like all of us do. But I was like, okay, that's great. Also, I feel like biologically, that's kind of just how we're wired is like to want to have families. And for some reason, our culture does everything they can to push that like natural instinct out of us. And I don't want to do that. Like, if that's what she wants to do in her life, I want to support her in that. And I do want to help her be prepared and set up to be successful in that so that she isn't in the place where I was. So, many times I've talked about this, and a lot of people that I've met through this doing this podcast have listened to Suzanne Vinker's show, and I love Suzanne. She has made such a big impact on my life. But Suzanne really talks a lot about feminism and the roots of feminism, how it started, how it's impacted us. But she also talks a lot about what we can do to not live that way and not buy into it. So she wrote a whole book about that and really, really interesting. She was talking about how you can structure your life differently to not buy into that. One thing I do want to push on a little bit, her book, and I love this book, I would recommend it to anybody, especially if you want to be a mom. It talked about a little bit like once you are a mom and if you're in the trap that I was in of like the two income household and you're working all the time, like how you can just cut back and scale things back to allow yourself to stay at home. And I feel like that's really easy to say in theory, but once you are accustomed to a certain lifestyle and you have whatever level of cars you have, whatever level of house you have, whatever level of food and vacations you have, scaling it back, and this all depends on how much the wife is making, obviously, but scaling it back is not just like we can sell the cars and sell the house and all that. And like, and then I just get to be at home and live this like glamorized stay at home mom life like I thought I could. I don't know. It's not quite that easy, I don't think. And the reason why I was able to do it is because my husband works his butt off and he does well. And so losing my income didn't, we didn't have to sell our house because I lost my income. We didn't have to sell our cars because we lost my income. So it didn't impact us that much. And I am so thankful and so grateful that he works so hard so that I have the opportunity to stay at home. And I know that I am lucky. And when Rachel had emailed me and was talking about her situation and all of that, I think it's easy for people that are staying at home with their kids and have kind of like seen the light of like the benefit that it has on the family and on the children and on you yourself. I think we just say like, oh, quit your job to other women. But that's really kind of dismissive of the fact that most people can't just quit their job. Like that's not how our culture works anymore. Most people have to have two incomes to survive. And I don't have any answers to that. I don't know how you fix that unless you have a husband that's maybe willing to like take on a different career or something like that. But that's hard to do when you're like already established and at a certain age. It's also super scary and risky. So the only thing that I see that I can do personally is change my family, talk to Charlie, talk to my sons. And part of like talking to my sons is about like, you need to have a plan or get training or an education to where you can be a provider, and you want to be able to give your wife the option to stay at home if she wants to. And I guess that's like sounds harsh because I'm not going to encourage my sons to go be like teachers or musicians. And that also sounds harsh because, most people are like, follow your dreams, follow your dreams. Well, sorry, but like a lot of dreams don't pan out. And that's just not very realistic, especially if what you say is you want to have a family where you can provide and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe that's bad parenting, but that's how I'm doing it because I feel like had my generation had more honesty from society and our parents, a lot of us wouldn't be stuck where we are, but here we are. And then also, I think that we just have to tell like the younger girls that are around us, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like the career is not everything. Also, once you have the career and you don't have kids yet, don't go buy a house that you have to have both incomes to afford the house. Don't go buy the nice car that you have to have both incomes to afford the nice car just because nobody, like, I didn't at least, nobody knows, like, oh, once I have this baby, I'm not going to want to be working 70 hours a week anymore. And I'm not going to be obsessed with all the accolades and the success and all of that anymore. Like, you don't know it until you have the kids. And so you just want to leave yourself like flexibility and options. And I've said this many times too. My job was so all or nothing. Like I couldn't just scale it back to where I could do it 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week. Like I wish that I could. Um, I still do like one loan a month because our insurance is through my bank and my bank has been incredible to me. And so they have allowed me to do that, which is so nice of them. But I don't think that women going into these careers that are very male dominated, that are super taxing and require a ton of hours, I don't think that's wise if you're planning to have kids. Not that women can't do it. Yeah, you can do it. You can go be a brain surgeon. You're smart enough to do it. You can work hard enough to do it. But then, like, and you're a brain surgeon, you take out however much in student debt, you have the kids. Then what? Can you be a part time brain surgeon? I don't know. Guess it depends on if your debt's paid off or not and how your practice is set up and all of that. But I don't know. I just think that there needs to be more honesty with our daughters about what that actually looks like. And so I'm going to talk to my babysitters about this stuff. They may not want to hear it. I promise you, it's not even on their minds. Most of them probably not. But I wish that somebody would have talked to me about that, like beside your mom. I also saw this interesting thing. I was reading this article about how aunts, like children having aunts, especially daughters having aunts, is so important in their lives because it's like I'm saying, it's somebody that's not your mom, but that you can confide in. Can talk about the hard things with the aunts and all that. And I know that how valuable my aunts have been in my life. And so I think, like, if you're an aunt, you can't just be like the fun aunt all the time, even though that is really like it's so fun because you don't have to discipline your nieces and nephews. But, the things that your siblings may be saying to their kids are not listening to because, like, oh, what does mom know? The aunts and uncles, the kids do listen to what they say. So I think that that's really important too. So I'm going to talk to my nieces about these things and my nephews. Um, okay, that's enough on that. This is not a political podcast by any means. I enjoy politics. I've always enjoyed politics. I think they're interesting. But I have said that if I ever changed my mind on big things in life, I would talk about it on here and be honest about why. And I am at this like crossroads right now. I'm done with Donald Trump. I voted for him 3 times. First time, I think he did really good as president. I know people hate him. He's so polarizing. He like says shit that presidents should never say. Uh, but he was a businessman. I thought he did a good job his first term. And I didn't feel that he was part of the swamp his first term. This term, I don't know what the heck has happened to him. He's totally sold out, just like every other politician. He's like the president of war now. Part of why I voted for him 3 times is because he said he was done with all these wars. And I'm sick of all these wars, like killing Americans and killing all these other people. And politicians just get rich. I'm just sick of that shit. I'm over it. But the main reason why I am done with Trump, and I threw my MAGA hats away, like I'm done with Trump, is because he campaigned and Cash Patel, everybody said that they would release the Epstein files when they got into office. And the Epstein files that they have released have been bullshit. They are all redacted. They don't have anything. They're not the Epstein files. And then he got up and said, like, Epstein who? Why are we still talking about Epstein? And, I don't get the feeling that Trump is a pedophile. I think he was definitely around Epstein a lot. Obviously, they were in Palm Beach together for years and years and years, and they were at all the same parties and knew all the same people. So, like, he was around him a lot. Trump just seems to me of like more like he's into porn star kind of thing, but not children. But that's it's just my personal opinion. I don't have anything to back that up. But for somebody that is going to protect pedophiles because they're his friends or his donors or whatever, like, can't support it. Also, cannot support the Democrats because they protect pedophiles too. And so I'm at a point now where I don't think I'm going to vote anymore. I don't know. I can't vote for the people that won't protect children. So very conflicted on that. I have family members and people that are super close to me that have been in the military and given their lives for our country. Um, but I don't think they're proud of how our country is being run. And I don't know how, as a mom, I can sit up here and say that I'm pro life and I think that every life matters, and tell my kids that, and tell my kids that it's my job to protect them, and then vote for people that are or protect pedophiles. So, anyways, that's where I'm at on that. If you can convince me otherwise, I am open to it. I don't know. Pretty annoyed with Trump right now. All of them. All of them. And I guess it doesn't surprise me because everybody sells out when they go to Washington. So, anyways, there's that. I think that's it for today. But I hope you have a great week.